Good morning. Welcome in. We are going to take a look at Rome, and we're going to get into Rome. We'll have a Rome project to coincide with our lectures and our lessons. But again, we finished up with ancient Greece, and now we're going to get into ancient Rome. So let's get into this today. Let's talk about it. We'll get some introductory statements, and we'll talk about a few things here. But again, some exciting stuff with ancient Rome. All right, let's talk about the origins of Rome. And according to legend, all right, the city of Rome was founded in the year 753 BC by Romulus and Remus. Okay, these were the twin sons of the god Mars and a Latin princess. Okay, the twins were abandoned on the Tiber River. Okay, as infants and raised by a she-wolf. Okay, so the twins decided to build a city near that spot. All right. In reality, it was men who built the city, and they chose that spot due to its strategic location and its fertile soil. All right. Rome was built on 7 rolling hills at a curve along the Tiber River. This is the center of the Italian peninsula. Okay, so right in the middle of that Italian boot that we always see in geography, it's at a midway point between the Alps and Italy's southern tip. Okay? All right, now the first Romans, all right, the earliest settlers on the Italian peninsula arrived in prehistoric times. From around 1000 to about 500 BC, 3 groups inhabited the region and would battle for control. Okay, these groups were the Latins, the Greeks, and the Etruscans. Okay, the Latins built the original settlement at Rome. This was a cluster of huts upon Palatine Hill, and these settlers were considered to be the first Romans. Between 750 and 600 BC, the Greeks established colonies along southern Italy and Sicily, so the Greeks were able to kind of colonize these areas. These colonies became commercially prosperous and had a closer contact with ancient Greece, so they were able to use this as a network for trade and commerce. Now, here's the group that's going to make the biggest impact. That's going to be the Etruscans. Okay, the Etruscans were native to northern Italy. All right, they were skilled metalworkers and engineers. All right, the Etruscans had a strong influence on Roman civilization. They boasted a system of writing, an alphabet, and a style of architecture. And all of these are going to kind of lead into what Rome is going to become. All right, the early republic. Around 600 BC, an Etruscan became king of Rome. Rome would grow from a small village to a massive city that was going to cover nearly 500 square miles. Various kings would devote time to creating temples and public centers, the most famous of which would be known as the Forum. Okay, this was the heart of Roman political life. So even in today, in modern chat forums, okay, a forum is a group or people coming together and talking in one area. This is what we see in Rome. Okay, the last king of Rome was a man by the name of Tarquin the Proud. He was a harsh tyrant. Okay, he was driven from power around 509 BC, and Rome vowed at this point to never have a king again. Instead, what they're going to do is they're going to establish a republic or res publica. Okay, a republic is a form of government in which power rests with citizens who have the right to vote for their leaders. In Rome, citizenship with voting rights was granted only to free born male citizens who were freely born within the city of Rome. Those were the men that had the voting rights. Women had no voting rights. And again, this is how Rome is structured. All right, now there's going to be 2 major groups we're going to talk about. All right, in the early republic, these different groups of Romans are going to struggle for that power. One group is going to be known as the patricians. All right, these were the wealthy landowners who held most of the power. All right, the other important group were the plebeians. All right, these were the common farmers, artisans, and merchants who made up a majority of the population. All right, now I know a lot of people, like in gaming terms, will call someone a simple pleb. It goes back to this term, plebeians. Okay, the patricians inherited their power and social status. All right, they claimed that their ancestry gave them power to make laws for Rome. Okay, the plebeians were citizens who could vote. However, the plebeians were barred from having any political positions. They could vote, but they could not be in those positions of power. In time, however, Rome's leaders are going to allow the plebeians to form their own assembly and elect their own representatives. Okay, these were known as tribunes. All right, tribunes are going to protect plebeian rights from any unfair acts by patrician officials. So you have this schism, this break, this disconnect between the patricians and the plebeians. Okay, and the plebeians are going to seek out help. They're going to be able to form their own assemblies and elect their own representatives. They want to get that help by forming these tribunes. Okay. All right. So what was government like under the Republic? All right, Rome had boasted that they had achieved a balanced government. They mixed components from a monarchy, an aristocracy, and a democracy. All right, Rome had two consuls. All right, consuls commanded the army and directed the government. However, their power was limited. All right, a consul's term was only 1 year. All right, and they could not be elected to consul again for another 10 years. So they would serve one, and they had to wait another 10 years before they could be elected again. Consuls could always veto other decisions. So if a decision was made, a consul member could veto that decision. The Senate, all right, this is where a lot of the power is going to be. The Senate was the aristocratic branch of Rome's government. It had legislative and administrative functions. So they are lawmaking and they are essentially, excuse me, I've got the hiccups. Not the best thing to have during a lecture. They're going to make the administrative decisions as well. Its 300 members were chosen from the upper class of Roman society. Later, plebeians would become members of the Senate, but for a long time it was patricians who were members of the Senate. The Senate also is going to have a huge influence on foreign and domestic policy. That's important. How Rome is going to interact with others abroad and how they're going to settle disputes within Rome and along the Italian peninsula. Okay? So this is going to be unique. All right? In times of crisis, the Republic would appoint a dictator. All right? This leader would have absolute power to make laws and command the army. Keep that in mind. All right? A dictator's power, however, would only last 6 months. Okay? So nowadays, when you see a dictator take over, sometimes they assume that position for life. All right? In Rome, a dictator was there to kind of fix things. They had absolute power, but only for about 6 months. Dictators were chosen by the consuls and then elected by the Senate. There's going to be a very famous dictator, which we'll talk about a little later. Okay? Now, let's talk about the Roman army. This is going to be something that they pride themselves, especially early on with the early Republic. Okay? In addition to their government, all right, the Romans placed great value on their military. Okay? All citizens who own land would have to serve in the army. So male citizens who owned land would have to serve in the army. Seekers of certain public offices, so if you wanted to become a politician, you had to have 10 minimum years of military service. So before you could even get into the Senate, your background check, they're going to say, hey, did so-and-so serve 10 years in the military? If so, yeah, we're going to be able to nominate you and allow you to come in. If not, you couldn't be in public office. Okay? Now, Roman soldiers are going to be organized into large military units known as legions. Okay? The Roman legion was made up of 5,000 heavily armored soldiers. This is what we call the infantry. So you've got the infantry. These are people on your front lines. Okay? You've got 5,000 heavily armored soldiers. You've got people that are decked out in full, armor, and they're weaponized. All right? And a group of soldiers on horseback, this is what we call the cavalry, supported each legion. So you have not only 5,000 infantry members, but you also have a cavalry or soldiers on horseback who are going to support that. Okay, legions were also going to be divided into smaller groups of 80 men, and these were known as centuries. Okay, known as centuries. Now, amongst the 80 men, there's also an additional 20, hence the name century. We get 100 out of that. All right. So, with that being said, we are wrapping up our first discussion on ancient Rome, and excited to get more into it. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of bloodshed that's going to occur. We're going to get into that as we move on. All right, we're going to have a project that's going to go along with this, which I really think you guys are going to enjoy. Okay, that's it. Take care. Have a great day.